I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 was good? Hey everyone, my name is Gavin and I love horror. After a much maligned first outing with Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, the team from Jagged Edge Productions is back with Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, officially kicking off the Poohniverse. While Blood and Honey 2 is a massive improvement over the first film, it still falls a bit short in a few areas. Let's get into it. Before getting started, would love if you leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to make my march towards 1 million subscribers, and so far, I'm only 994,000 short. So everybody, if you could subscribe, that would be really helpful. Please help. Also, spoiler warning, I'll be doing some spoilers in this review, so just be warned that spoilers, they'll be a-coming. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 picks up shortly after the first film ends, so despite every character looking different, the first movie did happen. Christopher Robin is now the star, and this is the first great move the movie makes, is making Christopher Robin the protagonist. It just makes sense. It's a no-brainer to have Christopher Robin be the star because it's the character most people are going to try to identify with in your Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Besides Winnie the Pooh, he's like the most iconic character. I know there's more later on, but Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, they go together like Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. So that's why it was so weird that he was barely in the first one. In the aftermath of what's now being called the 100 Acre Woods Massacre, Christopher Robin sticks to his guns and says, hey, Pooh and Piglet did this, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. While most people don't believe Christopher Robin, there are some townsfolk that do believe him, and they spend their time hunting the monsters in the woods. Winnie the Pooh obviously returns, and this time he's joined not only by Piglet, but by Owl and Tigger, because they in the public domain now, baby. May everyone use them respectfully. As you can tell by the trailer, everyone in the gang got a makeover due to the film's expanded budget. Gone is the Immortals honey bear mask, instead being swapped out for an original design that makes Pooh a lot scarier. Piglet also gets an upgrade, with Owl and Tigger making their debut with some fresh looks as well. I love the look of these new characters. I love how they look like Power Rangers villains, and I mean that in the best way. My only complaint is that Pooh and Tigger look almost too similar to that sometimes they get confusing and you can't tell who's who, but it's a minor nitpick and it does make narrative sense. Speaking of narrative, this movie has one. Yes, we got a story in our Winnie the Pooh movie, everybody, and it makes sense. Matt Leslie, who wrote the underrated Summer of '84, is here on screenplay duties with help from the returning writer-director, Reese Frake Waterfield. Having somebody else come in and help write the screenplay is a huge help for the vision of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. I love how the story unfolds throughout. It's easy to follow. I love that the story was there. Now, big spoiler here. Here's a big spoiler for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, and that is the reveal that all of the Winnie the Pooh characters are actually the result of abducted kids having gene splicing done to them to have them merge with different animals. Kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like that's how like Bebop and Rocksteady got made. I like this narrative choice. I like the explanation for where these characters came from, because in the first movie, it was basically like, Pooh and Piglet are here and they killing everybody. Like that was the extent of the narrative. So this mostly works for me, even if it does teeter a little close to the same plot line as Five Nights at Freddy's. Hey, editing Gavin here. When I compared it to Five Nights at Freddy's, I just meant more of the child abduction storyline as opposed to like gene splicing. So yeah, the kids get abducted and then get turned into other stuff. That's what I meant by it's similar to Five Nights at Freddy's. The characters look great, the story is great, but Gavin, what about the gore? What about the gore? The gore this time out is also cranked up to 11. They used that budget to spread the red stuff all over the screen, and I loved it. Characters are sliced, diced, burned, bear-trapped, and killed during a rave, which a rave is the worst place to die, because then you have to haunt a rave forever. There's a memorable scene towards the beginning that was almost Hatchet levels of unnecessary, and you can tell a very, very specific Terrifier influence by just how over the top the kill was. Like, Pooh, did you have to rip her arm off, her leg off, and then put her face in a bear trap? Like, did you? Oh, you did. Fair enough. But yeah, you know me, I'm a fan of gore, and I was not disappointed by Blood and Honey 2. They put the blood in Blood and Honey 2. However, the single best change that they did was by giving these characters personality, for better and for worse. For the better, I loved Al. Al is like the brains of the operation. He's always plotting, scheming. I love the voice acting and the character acting that was done with Al. Also, when Al flies, it looks really good. It looks good for the budget they had. I was really worried when they had Al fly, it was gonna look like Jeepers Creepers Reborn, but luckily they did avoid that pitfall. So, you know what? Good job with your CGI flying, guys. Pooh is obviously the muscle with few words spoken, but he does get his iconic, "oh bother," at the end, which was missing from the original. Yes, give us Pooh things that we like. And Piglet was, well, Piglet isn't in the movie very much because he gets killed very early on. So Piglet's main characteristic was, I can talk now. So that was for the better, and now for, unfortunately, what I think is for the worst, and that is Tigger. Now, I think Tigger had a very good first outing. We were all very excited to see Tigger finally on the big screen join the Twisted Childhood universe and the Winnie the Pooh-niverse, or whatever they're calling it. We were all very excited. I think he does a pretty good job, but you can tell he's got that Freddy Krueger stank all over him. And it's very blatant. Like, there's some subtle homages, like having him drag his bloody fingernails across a boiler room railing, which is typical Krueger. But maybe don't have Tigger say the word bitch so much. Like, I feel like he says it a lot. He says it a lot. And Freddy Krueger does not own the word bitch, but if you say it too much, it becomes less Freddy Krueger and more Scary Terry. And Tigger goes full Scary Terry, bitch. But I do like that they took the very hyper and unpredictable Tigger and turned him into unhinged psychopathic killer Tigger. Tigger is brutal and a standout character, even if sometimes his personality was a bit much. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is a huge improvement, as you can tell by my enthusiasm for it. However, there is one huge shortcoming that I do need to bring up, and it's a bummer I have to bring it up because it was an issue in the first film that I was hoping they would get resolved. And that is, parts of this movie are very, very dark. Not narratively, just you can't see anything. And it's very annoying because you can tell there's a lot of great kills in this, but they turn the lights off and you can't see it. So I don't know if it's an editing thing or maybe they need a better key light, but most of these problems can be solved if somebody has a flashlight. So that's a big bummer for me. I want to be able to see the cool things you're doing on screen. And I don't know if there's some stuff with the editing also, but there were a lot of kills where you couldn't tell what was going on, especially with Tigger at the end with like the rave scene. He's like cutting people and slashing people, but you can't really tell because the editing is very kind of wacky and the lighting isn't great. So I want to see these kills you put so much hard work into. That's all I want. And then my last little minor thing is, it still doesn't feel as fun as it should. Like, it's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. It should be fun. It should be a little wacky. It should be a little like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I do appreciate how meta they went with making the first movie kind of like an in-universe joke movie, kind of like Stab and Scream. That is a great way to explain why everybody looks different, and I do applaud them for that. But still, I wish it was just a little bit more fun because it still takes itself very seriously. It doesn't need to be like Thanksgiving, but maybe a few more jokes here and there wouldn't hurt a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. But hey, we got Winnie the Pooh with a flaming chainsaw, so I can't be too mad. Overall, while not a perfect movie by any means, this was an amazing turnaround from Jagged Edge Productions. And it seems like they got to make the movie this time they wanted to make the first time, but didn't have the budget to do so. With a better story, better effects, and new characters, Blood and Honey 2 is a solid slasher movie. And I'm very excited to see what comes next in the Twisted Childhood universe, where we're all building towards Pooh-niverse, Monsters Unleashed. Like, what? We're gonna have a crossover monster? What? This is Avengers Endgame with this? Like, let's go. Okay, sign me up for your weird shit, guys. I'm all in now. While it's not gonna win any Oscars, I also don't think it deserves any Razzies this time, which is why I'm giving Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 a 3.5 out of 5. But what did you think? Are you a fan of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, or are you just like over public domain horror? Are you like, please stop making these, do something else? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Also, let me know which childhood character would you like to see in a horror movie. I want to see what you want. Who do you want to see be a slasher character from your childhood? Let me know in the comments below who you think. As always, please leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out a ton, and I greatly do appreciate everybody who's already subscribed and who does support this channel. And until next time, stay weird.